Riley Herbst has been terrible this season. Driving for 2311, he has had one top 15 all year. For comparison, Corey Heim, who has done 4 races for the same team, has more top 15s than Herbst does. This stat got me to come up with a list of some of the worst driver signings by big NASCAR teams throughout the past several decades. Starting off with an honorable mention, Jamie McMurray at Roush Racing from 2006 to 2009. McMurray replaced Kurt Busch, who had won a Cup championship in that ride, but for whatever reason it just never clicked for Jamie Mack at Roush. He never had an average finish over a season better than 20th, had a best points finish of 16th in 2008, and only won 2 races, both on restrictor plate tracks. While he was struggling, Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, and Greg Biffle were all winning races and regularly making the chase. I'm leaving this one as an honorable mention though because McMurray was never an outright bad driver. Roush Racing was starting to wear themselves thin by fielding 5 cars, and it's hard for an outsider like me to say what the inner workings of the team were that might have dampened performance. It was just disappointing to see McMurray get a step up in equipment from Ganassi to Roush, take over a team that had won the championship 2 years prior, and then run mid-pack at best. At least the paint schemes look cool. The first one on the list is Danica Patrick. I don't know what else I could say about her time at Stewart-Haas Racing that hasn't already been said by others. SHR, before their switch to Ford, ran equipment built by Hendrick Motorsports, and scoring 7 top 10s in 5 years is never a good thing in that level of equipment. I don't think she ever really had the chops to be a big-time stock car driver, but I wouldn't class her as a total failure either. I think anyone who knew anything about racing could see that she was going to struggle. She did about as well as you could have expected from someone jumping over from IndyCar and being rushed into the Cup Series. We saw this with Sam Hornish, Dario Franchitti, and Patrick Carpentier as well, and they struggled too. SHR towards the end of her time there was increasingly focused on Kevin Harvick and the 4 team, and they carried the organization for years. Heck, even in his final few years, Tony Stewart himself was struggling, and Danica even beat him in points in 2015. I'm not one of those people who constantly piled on Danica, but her time in the 10 car was what it was. To put things in perspective, Eric Almirola replaced her in 2018 and had a career year, scoring 17 top 10s, winning a race, and making the round of 8. And it's not like Almirola was some big star himself. The next name on the list is Casey Mears in his 2-season stint at Hendrick Motorsports from 2007 to 2008. Like McMurray, Mears had some really good runs for Ganassi and earned a seat at Hendrick when Brian Vickers left for Team Red Bull. However, Mears was a bit in over his head. On paper, his 2007 isn't terrible. He won the Coca-Cola 600 and finished 15th in points, which is about where Vickers was in that 25 car. But 2007 was a season dominated by Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson, where they combined to win almost half the races and finish 1st and 2nd in points. Mears was even far away from the other teammate Kyle Busch, who already had one foot out the door at HMS. His 2008 season, now in the 5 car, was even worse as he struggled to stay in the top 35 at the beginning of the season and could only muster 6 top 10s and 20th in points. Mears left for Childress in 2009 and was replaced by Mark Martin. That year, Mark, with the same crew chief and Alan Gustafson, won 5 races and took the fight to the 48 team for the championship. Casey Mears' career was never the same after leaving Ganassi, but if Rick Hendrick offers you a ride, you have to take it. Before Denny Hamlin made the 11 car his own, Jason Leffler spent much of the first half of 2005 floundering in it. Joe Gibbs' long-awaited 3rd car came to fruition in 2005 with sponsorship from FedEx. Leffler was plucked out of the Busch Series to drive it. He ran 19 races in that car with 1 top 15 and an average finish of 27.5 in a Joe Gibbs racing car. Things got so bad that Leffler fell out of the top 35, which no longer guaranteed his starting position in each race. He failed to qualify for the Coca-Cola 600, which I'm sure pretty much sealed his fate, although he stayed in that car through the Brickyard 400. With Leffler failing to get back into the top 35, Gibbs and FedEx booted him from the ride and brought in Terry Labonte. Labonte had a past champions provisional which locked him into the races. After cycling between Terry and JJ Yaley, Denny Hamlin was brought in for the final 7 races of 2005. He scored 3 top 10s and won the pole at Phoenix, and the rest is history. Leffler already struggled once before in the Cup Series, in 2001 with Ganassi, and 2005 with Gibbs was more of the same. Going back to the 1990s, I'd say that Kevin LePage was an underwhelming signing by Jack Roush in 1998. Taking over the 16 car after Ted Musgrave left the ride, LePage stayed on for a further 2 seasons and scored only 5 top 10s. It was a weird signing to begin with, as LePage was always a journeyman driver. The thing about Roush racing in the 90s though, is that unlike a team like Hendrick Motorsports, Roush was disjointed. Not every Roush team worked out of the same shop. That's part of the reason why you saw a big drop off from the 6 team and the 99 team to the other cars. Sure, Mark Martin and Jeff Burton were better than LePage and Chad Little, but not being unified under one roof amplified the problem. LePage was gone after 2000 when the 16 team shut down due to a lack of sponsorship, before being brought back a few years later with Greg Biffle. That was LePage's one shot at good equipment in the Cup Series, and it was extremely disappointing. The last name on this list might throw some people for a loop, but when you look at the context of his career and the car in which he struggled in, it really is incredibly strange. I'm talking about Joey Logano in the 20 car. Look at each of them separately. Logano has won close to 40 races and 3 titles for Team Penske. The 20 car has been a frontrunner with Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth, and Christopher Bell. Logano's time in the 20 car saw him never make the chase, have a best points finish of 16th, and only win 2 races, one of which being a rain-shortened strategy call. His best average finish for a season was 16.8, which is worse than all 3 of the seasons Eric Jones spent in the 20 car before he was dumped in favor of Bell. So Logano statistically had the worst stint in the Joe Gibbs 20 car. There is a good explanation for all this though, and that's because Logano was extremely young. Taking over the ride at 18, it took him a while to find his footing in the Cup Series, and his move to the 22 car in 2013 gave him a new environment to grow in. Coming up through Hooters Pro Cup, the Busch North Series, and then the Nationwide Series, Logano had the moniker of the greatest thing since sliced bread. It just took him several years and a team switch to start living up to the hype. Logano struggled mightily when compared to Hamlin and Kyle Busch at Joe Gibbs, but he was right at home with Penske from day one. His is a cautionary tale about how important timing is. You may find yourself at a front-running team, but if things aren't totally lined up, the on-track performance will suffer. Let me know in the comments below what you think the worst driver signings in NASCAR history were. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.